Hello, I'm Mark Daly and I'm the new principal of St. Augustine School. It's really an absolute pleasure to have this opportunity to speak to you all directly. And although I wish that we could have been having this introduction under far different circumstances, I'm really extremely grateful to Father Peter for this opportunity. And I truly feel blessed beyond measure by God that He's led me and my family into this wonderful school, into this really wonderful parish and school community. As you know, this summer has been nothing short of unprecedented, unique. Throughout this summer, we've had a reopening task force that's been comprised of individuals from our faculty, from our staff, our school board, parent community, medical community. All of us have been working together throughout the summer to prepare for what will undoubtedly be a school year like no other. And the purpose of this video is to update you on all of the progress that reopening task force that we've made over the course of the summer, and really to offer you an overarching summary of our Auggies Comeback reopening plan, which again, we hope will be distributed to you all very soon. By mid-August, it will be an actual document that you can read and review. In short though, I want to right now very clearly state our goal for this fall. And then I'm going to explain everything in this video in further detail. First, most importantly, St. Augustine School is committed to reopening our school for 5-day full in-person learning beginning on Tuesday, September 8th, our first day of school. Our priority has been and remains to welcome all of our students back for in-person learning, and we are committed to doing so. We are confident that we can achieve this objective, all while adhering to every single one of the guidelines issued to us by the state of Massachusetts and the Archdiocese of Boston. Second, though, and at the same time, I want to assure all of those families who may not feel comfortable having their children return for in-person learning that we're going to be offering you an option to remain enrolled in the school. Of course, we want every single member of our community to remain as part of our community, especially during this challenging time. And so for those students who choose this remote option, they'll have the option of zooming into their classrooms, completing all of their assigned work remotely. And again, I'm going to be addressing this a little bit more detail later on in this video. First though, with respect to in-person learning, we're prepared to welcome all of our students back into the school really about 1 month from now. And we want our students to be learning again in the classrooms, in their physical classrooms, not their virtual classrooms, to be socializing again with their classmates and with their friends, and to be growing together, most importantly, in our shared Catholic faith, which is what unites us as a school and as a community. We know, though, that in order to accomplish this goal, it's going to be necessary for us to implement a number of new health and safety protocols and different adaptations that we're going to have to make to all of our normal school day operations. All of these protocols now are going to be very clearly outlined in our reopening plan, but I wanted to just give you an idea of what this school year might look like verbally so I can explain it to you all. And I wanted to provide this brief overview just to give you an idea of what your child's school day might look like when they come on September 8th. Your child will arrive at the school and he or she will enter through their grade level's designated school entrance. Now, each of our early childhood learners will be screened for health symptoms immediately upon arrival, and they will enter through their own classroom doors. Our K-8 students will also enter through one of 4 designated main school entrances, which will be clearly communicated to families, and parents will also be asked for our K-8 students to complete a health screening of their children before their child enters the school building. Immediately after entering the school, students will sanitize their hands with our new touchless hand sanitizing machines, which will be stationed throughout every entrance of the school building in both of our school buildings. Students will also find that various sections of the buildings will be closed off to them in order to limit any potential intermingling of students. There's going to be signage posted throughout the school to indicate where students can and cannot go. Again, all of this is with the goal of ensuring that we can keep our students in strictly defined cohorts to limit any potential exposure that they might have to others. After entering the school building, our K-8 students will proceed directly to their classrooms where they will have an assigned seat, and they will stay there at that assigned seat For the remainder of the school day, the entirety of the school day, no one else will be sitting in that seat. Our early childhood learners may not necessarily have assigned seats, but they'll have designated areas in the classroom where they can engage in socially distant and simultaneous play at various points throughout the day. In several of our K through 8 classrooms, we anticipate that desks will be spaced out a full 6 feet apart. As you can see in this classroom, in some of our other classrooms, the distance between desks may be slightly less than 6 feet, such as this classroom, in which all of the desks are at least 4 feet apart, which is still more than it's a full foot more than what the state of Massachusetts guidelines require. This classroom, as you can see, is also set up for a potential room and Zoom scenario in which our remote students would be zooming in on the monitors in the front of the room. These monitors, of course, are just stand-ins, and we're actually going to be demoing actual technology that we're looking to purchase. Our teachers and students will be demoing this at the beginning of this week, either today or tomorrow. And we're going to be doing that in order to ensure that we're going to be providing the highest quality possible education for those students who are going to be remote this year. Throughout the school day now, very important, all of our students grades 1 and up will be wearing masks, along with all of our teachers and our staff who already have transparent face masks, those masks with screens, for your children to be able to see them, their expressions, their smiles, and read their vocal cues. Now we're also asking that parents, if at all possible, could find and purchase those transparent face masks, those masks with screens, for their children. Now again, this is not required by any stretch. We know that these masks are very difficult to come by, but perhaps over the next month or so, if you can secure one for your child or secure one for some of your children's friends, we think that as a task force, it'd be really beneficial for our teachers to be able to see your children's faces and expressions and be able to play off those and read those during the classroom teaching and learning. At various points throughout the school day now, your child will receive mask breaks where they will be able to leave their classroom. Other than that, though, our plan is to really have the students remain in their classrooms to not be exposed to others. So our specialists, with the exception of PE, will be coming to your children's classrooms rather than us bringing your children to the specialist classroom, again, to limit any potential exposure. They will proceed in cohorts out of the same entrance that they came in, and they will come, in the case of mask breaks, they'll leave the school building in their cohort. They'll never be exposed to other parts of the building. Now, when your children, you have to use the bathroom, they will find that among other updates that we've been able to do to our bathrooms this summer, we have installed new touchless hand sanitizer soap dispensing machines, and also automatic touchless paper towel dispensing machines in order to kind of limit those high touch areas that we have in the bathroom. And in fact, for the first 2 weeks of school, we're going to have our nurses present, 2 full-time nurses present in the school, so that one can be going around the classroom educating the students, teaching them proper hand hygiene and other hygienic matters, so that all of our students can be fully informed about how they can keep themselves safe and healthy this school year. Now, with respect to cleaning throughout the school day, we will have a maintenance staff who will be responsible for sanitizing the school, particularly all those high-touch areas. And they have 2 new high-powered disinfectant spray machines that they'll be using throughout the school day. And also at the end of the day, the entire school will be sanitized by these machines, both of buildings, our early childhood building and also our main school building. Throughout the day, we're also going to be having our teachers ask our students to sanitize their hands and their workstations frequently, particularly, of course, before and after lunches. And we're also asking parents, if possible, to provide children with their own hand sanitizers, their own personal hand sanitizers and disinfectant wipes, so that they can keep right there at their desk and use throughout the day. For most of our grade levels, lunches are going to be taking place in the classroom, not in the cafeteria. And we're going to be working to space those students out as far as possible so they can take off their masks and enjoy their lunch. And lastly, we're also going to be implementing a new pickup procedure that will dramatically limit any potential exposure that students would have with other members of other grades and other classes. Those details will be coming out with our reopening plan and also as we continue to prepare for September 8th. I really could go on because so many parts of our school day we're making these adaptations for the health and safety of our students, But all these details are going to be in our reopening plan. And so really just to summarize, I suppose that the point I'm trying to make is this. Yes, we are reopening for in-person learning at this time, provided that all the guidance we're receiving from the state and the Archdiocese remains the same. However, we will be leaving no stone unturned in working to keep your children healthy and safe. We're committed to doing this safely, and if at any point we realize or we receive guidance from the state, the Archdiocese, or even the school itself determines that we cannot hold in-person school safely, we will shut down and we will immediately translate to remote learning, which really we've been preparing for throughout the summer because we know that these factors are simply outside of our control. We have teachers who throughout the summer have been attending remote learning professional development workshops. All of our teachers right now are in the process of developing their own remote learning schedules, consistent schedules of live Zoom instruction, which will include time for individualized and small group instruction as well, which we know is so essential for our students to learn. And they're going to be implementing that immediately in the event of a shutdown. So again, all these expectations, these schedules that I'm referring to, they'll all be released with our reopening plan in about 2 to 3 weeks. So lastly, with respect to in-person learning, I also want to convey that we're really committed to ensuring that this in-person education that I'm describing, which we know looks different, which we know sounds very different, we're committed to still making it engaging and enjoyable, the same St. Augustine's education that your children have been receiving, many of whom for years. We recognize that this pandemic, with all of the restrictions that are imposed, that all the restrictions we have to put in place, that it has the potential to really rob our students of the joy of learning, of the joy of being with their friends and with their classmates. We're aware of this, and for this reason, we are working very hard to be creative about how within all of the guidelines, we can still have fun. We can still let our kids be kids, and we can still allow the joy that learning brings to the soul to truly ignite and to transform our lives, to transform our students into the saints that God's creating them to be. Now, with all of that being said, we know that for a variety of reasons, some of our families may discern that the best option for them is simply to have their child or their children home for at least the beginning of the school year. We understand this decision, we want to honor this decision, and we want to do so by offering your K-8 child the option of beginning the school year as a remote student. Now, this remote option is going to look very different at every grade level from K-8 because all of our students of the various grade levels have different levels of independence and different levels of technological ability. So I can only speak in generally about our plans for this remote option. But in short, we're going to be asking all of our teachers to educate not only their in-person students, but also their remote students. Our remote students will largely receive all of the same lessons, assignments, assessments, grading, and feedback, everything that they would have been receiving for the most part in the in-person experience as much as is possible. They'll also have opportunities to engage in one-on-one or small group learning sessions with their teachers. Most importantly, however, what we're really working hard to do is to ensure that our remote students will be able to join their in-person classmates for live Zoom class, zooming into the class for live instruction simultaneously with the in-person students. As I mentioned, we're in the process of outfitting our classrooms with the technology that's needed to do this. It's going to be an investment for our school, but we think it's an important investment. And our teachers will be trained in how to use this technology effectively. Our hope is really that our teachers will be able to engage directly with those remote students, and also that those remote students will be able to engage directly with the in-person students, their classmates, their friends. Now, of course, I don't want to set expectations for this remote option too high because, as we all know, nothing can really replace in-person learning. We all realize that from March to June. So there are limits on just exactly what we can do with the remote option. As we face challenges back March through June, we're going to face challenges with this remote option. So I simply ask that you lend your flexibility and your patience to the situation as we try to make this room and Zoom scenario as high quality of an education as possible, the type of education that all of our students deserve. So with all of that said, this is really just a brief or maybe not so brief overview of our Auggies Comeback reopening plan. It's a high level review of it. as it stands right now at this moment, as we all know, the plans are always subject to change during this very tumultuous and ever-changing time that we find ourselves in. But we have a task force who is going to continue to be working out the details, the nuances of this plan. And again, we hope to publish this plan in about 2 to 3 weeks, in the middle of August, giving you plenty of time to read it, to review it, and to take your time to digest it before we have a school-wide town hall forum where you'll be able to ask questions of me, other members of the task force, including at least 2 medical professionals, if you have more specific medical-related questions. So lastly, for our own planning purposes, what we're asking you to do right now at this moment is to please take a look at the 1-question survey that we're issuing to all families. It's issued in this email that you received this video in. It's a 1-question survey. We ask you please respond no later than a week from today, Monday, August 10th. And the link is in this email. Please click on it, look at it, and we'd really like you to take a careful look and discuss it with other members of your family, with perhaps your students, so that you can make as educated of a choice as possible. Because the numbers are going to be very critical. The numbers of remote students that we have versus the number of in-person students are going to be very critical for our planning purposes. So please take the time to review it and submit it no later than Monday, August 10th. Again, you're not going to be bound to this decision. It's just right now, it's just a survey so that we can assess where our students are at. There will be a time a few weeks from now where you'll have to make a binding declaration of whether or not you're going to be opting into that remote option. And we will be asking that you do so for the entire first trimester in order to kind of limit any potential moving in and out of students. So it would be for an entire first trimester. But for now, please just carefully consider select an option on the survey so that we can best plan for all that this coming year is going to offer. So thank you really for your cooperation with that. And to conclude this video, there's really just been this quote that's been on my heart that I've been reflecting on quite a lot recently. It's from St. Augustine, our patron saint. And the quote goes like this. You may have heard it. It's pray as though everything depended on God, work as if everything depended on you. This is really how I strive to live my life in everything that I do personally and professionally. But I have to admit that maybe the same is true for you. I have to admit that at least for me, the praying as if it all depended on God is much harder than the working as if it all depended on me. So let us never forget the power of prayer, and let us always remember that, as I've shared before, neither me nor anyone else who works in this building is in charge of St. Augustine School. Christ is the captain of our ship. He is the ever-present and unseen leader of our school. And that, at least for me, is really a great comfort to remember. So as we move forward in these days ahead, all of us here at St. Augustine's will continue to work as hard as we possibly can, as if everything depended on us. We simply ask that you join us in praying as if everything depended on God. Let us pray through the intercession of our patrons, St. Augustine and St. Julie, that our school may make wise and prudent decisions as we prepare for reopening in the month ahead. And let us also pray that all of our community members may remain safe and healthy during this really trying and unprecedented time. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to this. It's really a pleasure to speak to you. I cannot wait to meet hopefully all of you in person very soon. Have a great day. I hope to talk to you soon. God bless.